All right, let's talk about a huge shift in the SAP world, the move to the business partner model in S/4HANA. If you've ever been frustrated by having to keep separate records for the same company, one as a customer, another as a vendor, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a real headache, right? Well, today we're going to demystify S/4HANA's big solution for this. Let's get into it.
So to really get why the business partner model is such a game changer, we've got to take a quick trip back in time. Let's look at the old way of doing things in SAP. The entire problem really boiled down to one thing. Data was totally siloed. It was kept in these separate, isolated buckets, and you can probably guess that created a whole lot of problems.
Okay, so picture this. You had two completely separate worlds living inside your system. On one side, you had the vendor master. This was the master list for every single company you bought stuff from. All your purchasing info, payment terms, the whole shebang. Then, way over on the other side, you had the customer master for everyone you sold to. The issue? They were totally disconnected. Two sets of data, two sets of rules, two maintenance processes. It was just a recipe for redundant information scattered all over the place.
And this is where things got really messy. What happens when the same company is both a vendor and a customer? I mean, this happens all the time in the real world. Well, in the old system, you had no choice. You had to create and maintain two entirely separate records for the exact same company. Think about that for a second. Two addresses to keep updated, two sets of contacts. It was literally double the work. Super inefficient, and just asking for data to get out of sync.
So to fix this whole mess, S/4HANA brought in a much more elegant solution. It's called the Business Partner, or BP for short. And this isn't just a nice-to-have feature, it's now the mandatory way forward. It's designed to be the single source of truth for every single one of your business relationships.
So what exactly is a business partner? Well, it's pretty simple when you break it down. It is just one master record for any person or organization you do business with. It doesn't matter if they're a supplier, a customer, a bank, or even just a contact person. All their information now lives together in one central place. That's the core idea, the whole foundation of this new model. One partner, one record. Period.
You know, the best way to think about this is actually something you use every day. Just think about the contacts list on your phone, right? If your friend also becomes your new colleague, you don't create a whole new contact entry for them. No way. You just have one contact card, one entry with all their details in one spot. The business partner model is basically that same simple, common sense logic, but applied to your entire company. It's that powerful.
Okay, so that covers the what and the why. Now, how do you actually build this thing? Don't worry, we're not going to get bogged down in a bunch of technical transaction codes here. Instead, let's just focus on the high-level logic, the big picture of how it's set up. It really comes down to two main things: building a solid foundation and then linking that new world back to the old one.
This first part is all about creating the structure. The filing cabinet analogy is perfect here. First, you define your categories, right? In SAP terms, these are your account groups. They help you classify different types of vendors. Next, you create unique ID numbers for them. That's your number ranges. And the final step, you just assign those numbers to the right groups. See? It's a really logical flow. You categorize, you number, and you link. All right, phase 2 is where the magic really happens. This is where you connect the dots between the old world and the new. After setting up groupings for your new business partners, you have to link them back to the old vendor accounts. And this step is absolutely crucial. You're basically telling the system, hey, this new BP number is the same as this old vendor number. This keeps everything in sync and helps make the transition seamless.
Now, you might be thinking, if everything's in one record, do I lose all the details? And the answer is a big no. You still get to define all those specific roles, what we call partner functions. So for a single BP, you can specify that they're the main vendor and the one who physically ships the goods and the one who sends you the bill. Or on the customer side, are they the sold to party or the shipped to party? These functions give you all the detail and granularity you need for every single transaction.
Okay, so we've laid the foundation. Now let's see how this all actually works day to day. This is where the real power and honestly, the flexibility of the business partner model starts to shine. The whole process is wonderfully modular. Here's how it works. You start by creating just one business partner with a general role. This is where all the basic stuff lives. Name, address, you know the drill. From there, you just extend that same BP by adding more roles as you need them. Need to buy from them? Add the supplier roles. Gonna sell to them? Cool, add the customer roles. It's all under one single BP number, just with different hats it can wear. It really is that simple.
And the data itself is structured so cleverly. It's hierarchical. So think of it in layers. At the very top, you have the general data, the name, the main address, stuff that's true for the whole company, and it's stored just once. Then, a level down, you have data that's specific to a certain company code, like payment terms. And at the bottom layer, you've got stuff specific to a purchasing or sales organization. The biggest benefit of all this, you never, ever have to enter the same address or the same contact info twice. It's a huge time saver.
All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's hit a few really critical, must-remember points. These are the key rules of the road you've got to keep in mind when you're actually in the system working with business partners.
So here are the big ones. First, and this is a big one, the grouping you assign is permanent. You can't change it later, so choose wisely up front. Second, the model is super extendable. You can easily take one BP and use it across many different company codes or purchasing orgs. Third, for all you techies out there, don't worry. The key tables you know, like LFA1 and KNA1, are still around, but the main general data table is now BUT000. And lastly, a nice little bonus. The process for one-time vendors is way simpler now and doesn't require nearly as much information.
And that brings us to the final big picture thought here. The move to the business partner model isn't just a technical upgrade. It's a strategic shift. For the first time, you get a clean, complete 360-degree view of every single person and company you work with. So the real question to leave you with is this. Now that you have this single source of truth, what amazing new efficiencies can you find? What powerful new insights about your business relationships are you going to unlock? Thanks so much for tuning into The Explainer.